Go ahead.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Alright. So when I was 10 years old, I saw a replay on ESPN of the World Series of Poker main event, and the winner got $12 million. I was in absolute shock. I could not believe that someone playing a game could win $12 million. So from that point on, I was hooked. I was very interested, but from being interested and doing research, I learned that it's not easy being the person that wins that $12 million, and that there's a lot of skill involved. So today I'm going to teach you the general rules of the game, the hand rankings, and that you don't always have to have the best hand to win, and that there's a lot of skill involved. For example, there was a study done by two University of Chicago professors, Stephen Levitt and Thomas Miles, on the 2010 World Series of Poker, and it showed that skilled players or professionals had an average rate of return on investment of 50% higher than amateurs. This pretty much shows that people who were professionals and were skilled at the game were making a lot more money. Okay, so let's start with the basics of the game. So this is not like blackjack when you're playing against the house. This is a true human versus human experience. You're playing against other people. And the name of the game is having the best 5-card hand. So at the start, you get 2 cards. So to make this a little more interactive, I'm going to give all of you guys 2 cards, but since there's only 52 cards in a deck, I can only give 2 cards to every table, because if I give every one of you guys 2 cards, I won't have enough cards. So, and you can only use 1 deck. Okay, so now that we have, you guys all have 2 cards, I'm going to get myself some cards as well. Okay, so now that we all have 2 cards, before any other cards come out, there's a round of betting where either you can fold or call. If you fold, that means you do not like your hand and you don't want to risk any money. And if you call, that means you like your hand and you think it has potential of getting better in the future. So after that, you see what's called the flop, which is 3 cards that are face up and that everyone can use. These are called community cards. So the goal is to get your 2 cards to in some way connect with the flop. And after the flop is another round of betting, and if your cards did not connect with the flop, you can fold. But if they did, and you think that you still have a good hand, you call. After the flop is what we call the turn, which is another card that is face up, and everyone can use it. So furthermore, just like after the flop, there's a round of betting where you can call or fold. Then after the turn is the river. So this is the final card that everyone can use. So at this point, you want to use your 2 cards, if you're still in, you want to use the 2 cards that you have and 5 cards on the board to make the best 5-card hand. So once betting happens after this card, and whoever's left, you make it to what is called showdown, which is when you flip your cards over and you see who has the best hand. So in this case, this person had ace-king suited, which as you can see makes a pair of aces, and this person just had a pair of jacks. So a pair of aces would win. So this idea of hand rankings leads me to my next topic, which is what beats what. This is very important because in order to actually be successful, you have to know what hand beats what. So up here is just a little sheet of the basics, like pair, 2 pair beats a pair, a flush beats a straight. So this is what a 5-card hand looks like. But in order to have a good 5-card hand, you usually have to start off with a good 2-card hand, or the whole cards that I handed out to you. So, as Phil Hellmuth, the respected poker player, said in his book, Play Poker Like the Pros, you want to start with the top 2 hand, which is like pocket aces, which is the best possible starting hand, or ace-king, or something like that. But you can also start with suited cards like queen-jack suited, because if you have suited cards, you have a better likelihood of making a really good hand like a flush, or any cards that are connected, because you have a better chance of making a straight. So, the idea of starting with good cards is very important, but there's also skill involved, and you don't have to start with good cards, because this is you're playing the player, and an example of this I mean, there's a quote actually by Kenny Rogers, a famous singer. He said, you have to know when to hold 'em and know when to fold 'em. And this actually rings very true in the game of Texas Hold'em, because it is very important to know when you have to keep your good cards or when you know you're beat. And skill is also very important. An example of skill is bluffing. This is when you don't have a good hand, but you portray strength and you try to get someone with a better hand to fold. And this is a very risky maneuver, but it's also very rewarding because you're gaining money with a bad hand. Another important task is being able to read what other people have. So this is very difficult and it can only happen with lots of practice, but if you are able to read what other people have, you'll be able to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And this idea of skill being in poker is also seen in the courtroom. In 2012, Judge Jack Weinstein said that poker is more of a game of skill than chance. So today, I hope you guys were able to learn the basics of the game, learn that Texas Hold'em is more a game of skill, but it does have chance involved, and that you know the basic hand rankings. So you probably won't be able to be the person that wins the $12 million, but hopefully you'll be able to have a good time and maybe take a couple bucks off your friends. Thank you.